Okay. That sound coming out of.
So we called the meeting to order at 7 o'clock. Let's have a roll call at the moment here. Council position number 1, Joe Armand
I am here.
is here. David Budrius, position number 2.
Present.
Position number 3, Stephen Hardy. Chris Moritz, position 4. And Levi Shank, position 5. Okay. So according to this, I said I would read the tax levy. And the tax levy is pretty simple. It just says that our total certified in levy request is in the amount of $59,048.84, which includes the administrative refund amount of $48.84. Just to give a little background, last year it was $56,544.98, so not much more than last year. I thought I had 21, but I don't. Yes, I do. I have 21, and that was $58,382. So they're all within a couple $100 of each other.
You say one of them was 56,000 last year?
So there's 3 of them right there, David. The top one is this year's, 22, and then 21's in there also. And I think in 20 we had a amount that was given back to us too. Levi Shank. Levi Shank. Good evening. You're gonna, one more second here. Let me put you on audio. Speaker.
Okay.
Okay, you're on speaker. What was that again?
I'm going to go ahead and mute myself while I'm working. I'll chime in when I need to.
Okay, very good. You are on. So I'm going to put Levi in here. 704. Okay. So Levi, if you can hear me, I just read what the levy is going to consist of this year, and we've called the open public meeting to order at 7 o'clock, and it's now 7:05. So I think I'd like to close the public hearing at this present moment.
Did you need to?
It's
No,
7:05. So at 7:05, we will open the regular city council meeting. We've already had roll call. I don't see any sense in having that again. We have Joe here, David Budrius, Stephen Hardy, and Levi on the phone. Next thing we'll do is recognize the visitors, and we have none here. So I'm going to put 0 at the moment. Levi, I'm going to mute you. We're getting some feedback there.
Well, if you mute him,
Mute him.
you
Won't be
won't-
able to hear him.
he should mute.
I think you muted.
I-
Oh,
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and mute myself.
Okay, very good. Thank you. So, 0 visitors. First thing on our agenda is to approve the minutes for November 8th. And that would require a motion.
Move to approve.
So,
second.
Stephen, motion to approve, and Joe, second. You're good?
Good.
David, have you had time to look at the minutes and your,
Just briefly, earlier I didn't have anything.
okay?
Oh,
Under my eyes.
David's giving me the eye here.
So far, they look good.
I'm good.
Okay? Stephen?
I'm good.
Okay. We've opened the floor. There's a motion on the floor. If there's no further discussion, we'll have a vote. All in favor of accepting the minutes as written, signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, the same? Minutes are accepted. 400. Next on the agenda is to observe the check register. These are checks that have already been sent out.
I'm not gonna ask this every single time. These were what we approved last meeting.
I believe a couple of these you may not have approved, and that was the Washington State Revenue. Is that a true statement, or did they approve it without having seen it? On the second page, there was 4 items there. Yes, they weren't complete, those 2 statements.
Okay, so I then make a motion to approve the check register as amended from November 8th.
Well, it's not listed as an action item.
Oh, it is not.
I just have one question for Donna and clerk, the mayor. Is transaction 997, Lincoln County Public Works,
Let's get here, 997.
almost middle of the page.
Yep,
We have tipping fees and
recycle bin,
drop. That
yes.
total over $2,600, that's for both, right?
Yep,
I was just kind of curious to figure how much just the garbage tipping fees were, not the, to separate the two. How much does those recycling bins cost us? Have that on top of your head.
I do have that here.
Is it a significant amount?
The tipping fees were $22.01 $470.90 was the recycling bin drop off and pickup.
470?
Yeah, $470.90.
Okay. Well, thanks. Is that staying pretty consistent, that recycling bin drop? Are we paying by weight by that as well? I should have asked, I should know that, but I don't think we've ever made it clear.
I thought it was, not that I really know, but I thought the variance was how often we dumped it, and that it was a
Yeah.
flat,
yeah.
I think it was a flat rate per dump.
For pickup?
I see
But-
tipping fee, recycling bin drop off, and the pickup in October.
Right. Well, my own reasoning here, I was just trying to see how much the sunshine disposal and the tipping fees add up to, it looks like it's down this month, October, considerably from what normally averages.
Sunshine disposal was 3981.
Yeah?
So I'm looking at the claims from November 8th.
It
that
says-
we approved. So-
Yeah, it says that and recycle. So that's two different things.
I was just thinking for our garbage, this is, you know, that'll be a future topic for other meetings and,
Sure.
So our green waste dumpster was picked up today
for the last time.
for the last time. It was scheduled to be picked up on Friday, and they wanted to know if they could have it today while they were here. I told them, take it. With the weather and the snow, if anybody's not in there by now, they're probably not gonna make it.
Well, according to my calculations, this October's garbage rate is probably about anywhere from $800 to $900 cheaper.
Then it has been.
Yeah.
Yeah, that wouldn't surprise me.
Can we go back to the question, because maybe we don't need to approve it. You put estimated costs on the claims last time for the credit card.
Yes.
The Grange was estimated at 540.
And the visa also, because the statement wasn't in.
Yeah, the Visa, and you didn't give us total, but you gave us the costs that you were anticipating being in there, so.
And I believe we got approval if we were to listen to that.
Mhm.
If we saw something that was out of line or other than what we thought was normal.
I would suggest, if necessary, just make an amendment to the claims. I'm already going to suggest that when we get to the claims, for another separate reason.
Okay.
Did 998 MKB belong to October? Was that their, are we done with them? We've got another month coming?
That's 12 months a year.
I mean, but they're not, are they?
No, they're no longer working, correct.
Are they, it's probably a different conversation to have at a different spot, but since it's here, they are gonna come back and do leaf pickup.
They've already done that once.
Okay.
So I think they're probably done at this point.
Apparently those leaves just fall ones.
Got it. They
You
didn't
can
fall-
pay as many times as you want.
They didn't fall.
Well,
down.
Yeah.
I guess to Joe's point, we're paying them by every month, so I guess,
We're paying them every month, but that's to spread a 9-month service across 12 months.
Yes.
They wanted a subscription model to keep their their income stream constant, but the agreement of the contract is that they're only actually serving us for 9 months. If we were to pay only 9 months, we'd be paying those 3 months that we're not, the 9 versus 12, we'd be paying those 3 months more in the 9 months that we are getting service. I don't know if I said that in a way that makes sense.
I understand, I know what you're getting at, and
You'd make 9 bigger payments than you do with the 12.
There you go, thank you.
So do we have a motion on the floor?
No.
Oh, we do
this
not.
This is just an observation.
So we're having discussion first.
Well, it wasn't, it's a non-action item
There we go.
so.
That's on this particular page. That's correct.
we already dealt with James A. Sewell. Already saw that, didn't we?
Yeah.
I believe so. All right.
Okay, we're ready to move on here to the next subject, which is new claims.
So we can open the discussion. I will make a motion to accept claims.
Okay, we got a motion on the floor. We've got a second.
Second.
Okay, a motion and a second. Discussion.
So I have an amendment just to, this is follow on from Well, we discussed last time about that $35 that I hadn't that produced the invoice for, which I now have. So
Yes.
technically, in our last meeting, I said we need to take those $35 off until I produce the invoice. Now I have, so those claims would be amended to add that $35 back, which Donna has already produced a check for the full amount. But I just want that to be fully voted on after I've produced all the necessary documentation. So.
And you're suggesting that we amend this part of our claims to accept the additions?
So if you go to this,
Yeah.
let me give you one little piece of input there first,
Okay.
okay? If you look halfway down the top of the gray, it says Wheatland credit card, 7/11/24. That is an estimate.
Mhm.
We have receipts that we have not gotten billed for yet. So that's also an estimate this time. And the last one on the bottom of the page, the Grange, we have receipts for that one that we have not been billed for yet. So both of those numbers will change slightly. And you're seeing the number that we have receipts for, not the number that's actually going to be in there.
I'd have to do some research, but I'm not sure if we can technically approve based on an estimate because of the ability for the estimate to change.
Sure.
So we can approve the estimate, but technically I don't think we can approve any dollar that's not in receipt. So I don't know if that creates a problem for us being able to pay the credit card on time. Is that?
That's our problem with a good share of our bills. It's something we're gonna have to address in the future.
So when we're meeting twice a month, that still doesn't?
No, we're doing okay there, but if we miss a meeting, which we did, we missed a couple there, I don't remember when they were right now. But that, without having at least 2 meetings to address paychecks or checks, claims, we can't get them to the people on time because of when they're delivered to us.
Okay, well, I'll call AWC and they'll tell me to go talk to a lawyer, but I'll see if I can find someone who will give us a straight answer about
Do we
what
have
should do.
enough receipts to give them the number that we believe the credit card and the Grange would be?
All the receipts.
Okay,
Looking at-
so when you say an estimate, we know, oh,
It's likely that receipts coming back from the state and balance. And so we need to change.
okay.
So we could possibly approve it also and we can have specifically in the check register.
We've already made a check for 7/11/24, is that correct? For Wheatland and the Grange, there was no check made for those. I don't have them checked yet. I've gone through, so that's obvious. That's what that means to me. There was no check.
Well, I think I don't know if this is the way we can operate, but how I'd like to see this is we should make sure that the office staff has a blanket authorization to pay at their discretion, and if it doesn't make sense why I'm caveating that, I can explain, but at their discretion, they should have the authorization to pay any bills that we are in receipt of, ideally. Because if an estimate comes back and it's wrong, we can pursue it. Like if Amazon billed us twice, right? We can pursue it after the fact to get it right, but the situation is that if they don't have the ability to pay any bill that we're in receipt of, especially the ones that we could continue to work on if they were wrong, then we're going to continue to find ourselves in the position where we're going to be scheduling meetings around our bill structure.
And we're going to accrue late charges, which we
Right.
don't want.
So we need to see if we can find a way to change that.
You know, at the present time, we got a pretty darn good handle on the credit card. Anytime anybody uses it, all the receipts get stapled to one sheet of paper, somebody signs it as to what it was. I'm not sure that that's 100% true with the library. I'll let Donna answer that question.
The library is a little bit difficult because they're working and they can give you copies before you do, but the credit card is not charged until it's shipped. So for month to month, you don't get some things that are not shipped yet, that are on that, they're on, when you're sent, but they don't get charged until you send it.
Sure.
It's rather confusing, because they really don't charge you for the first person until it's shipped.
And we still haven't voted on and approved them having their own credit card yet, right?
I think we did, but
We did?
nobody's followed through and found out.
Okay.
Sure, of course.
Even if they have it on credit card, it's not going to charge them.
Right. That's,
And I think at the present time, they're planning on us doing their bookkeeping for them. Is that not true? Or is that a true statement? Okay.
technically,
So
their money is our money.
yeah, that's right. Yeah. The only problem we have with all of these is as the dates come in, as these things trickle in, sometimes it can get that we don't have time to get to a meeting and approve it when a bill is due.
Makes me wonder. Makes me wonder if we're getting a little bit off track, but if we could set up a separate bank account for the library, and then just fund it at the beginning of the year and have them pay all their own stuff out of it. But I don't know, like, because their funds are our funds, what they're required to do for reporting purposes, and like at the end of the day, an auditor is going to look into what they do. And we don't want to get red flagged because the library potentially is not doing their books correctly. That's not, in my opinion, it's not worth the hassle to say, hey, it's your money, do your books, and then have that hopefully someday be the only thing that we get flagged for not that I'm saying I don't trust the library. I'm saying people change, different things happen over time, and and ultimately we can't point the finger at them because it's technically our money and it's government money. So
Well, I see the other problem too is whatever they do, if they have their own account, because their money is the city money, it all has to go into Springbrook anyway.
well, and that would have been my other question, of whether it has to or not. Anyway, so I think we're in amendment.
So
to
at the present time, we've got two accounts on here. Do we have a statement for Visa? We do not. We do not have a current statement that they have billed us. Okay. Same is true for the green. We do not have a statement for the green. Okay? So at this point, it's the end of the month. The next meeting is going to be on the 13th. So I'd say we can approve those and get those checks out and then have them do it.
$711.
Does that sound, does that sound
Trying to
true?
find that.
What is it due? Right now it's
I
the
think
29th.
he's got a slightly different version.
I think,
That's
I
the
think
only
this
thing I
month
see
we're gonna
difference.
be okay.
Okay, so as far as dating back, then a second amendment for the claims is just to approve whatever difference between the estimate and the actuals from last time. Whatever that amount ended up being, if any. That way we're covered that we actually have voted on and approved all actuals.
Okay? Yeah, there's been no check cut for Wheatland, been no check cut for the Grange.
One quick question before we move on. Do you know when Grange and the Visa bill, when they close the statement period?
Cutoff date.
Okay. Okay.
Mm.
Okay.
You're talking about Odessa? right?
Yes,
No, right?
correct, that's our.
Usually the accounts are due the 30th by the end of the month.
So that hypothetically, we're gonna have a meeting before the end of the month, so the Grange Odessa could wait until we saw it.
We're not going to have a meeting for the end of the month. End
I
of the
mean,
month
it's
is
due tomorrow.
Yeah,
That-
and we haven't got a
that-
statement.
That 500,
No? We don't even have a statement yet.
Did the statement come? Even have to, in some cases, we will, do like, not,
okay.
because if all, so if there is something that comes automatically, then we will need to deposit money to keep it money, and we do it with the same.
Right. Okay.
Well, if they come in, we gotta pay them.
Yeah.
You know. Right, I mean,
Wouldn't you think that RICO, for instance, a reoccurring, we've signed a contract with them ongoing, virtually the same amount every month.
But can't we, I mean, didn't we approve, when we approved the contract for this place, we approved the ability to pay on time, whatever that is,
What,
right? And so with RICO, can't we just make a vote to say that we will approve? Because we already know the bounds of the contract. It's not like we're approving an unknown amount. We already know within the bounds of the contract, which yes, can vary a bit based on use and toner and that kind of stuff, but we're approving a known quantity within the formula, at least, that they have for us. So I think we should be able to approve RICO to just go and just do it.
when it comes, write the check and pay it. I agree. Yeah. You say, this month is kind of a unique time.
Yeah.
We're gonna have a meeting within a week and a half here or so of this meeting. So we should be able to
So
make those.
what I would suggest then is for our next meeting, let's have an action item to approve payment for all contracts and well-known amounts. So what I mean by that is RICO is a contract, but anything that it's a well-known amount, like if we have a yearly subscription, well, yearly we could just do once a year, I guess. But if there is anything that's like, we know that it always comes, we always know that it will be X amount because of some qualifier, we should be able to approve that ahead of time and get some of that requirement off of our monthly or bi-monthly approvals.
These are reoccurring bills.
Yeah.
Our rent for the building, the RICO.
I mean, we've already done rent for the building, but
Yeah.
if there's anything else like that, let's just do it. And that way we'll
We're gonna
only
pay
be
reoccurring
approving,
bills.
every meeting we'll only be approving things that pop up. Or could not be described well enough, because we have a fiduciary responsibility to make sure that we're not approving anything that is completely unknown.
Sure.
So it has to be a well-known thing enough that we could say, yeah, we expect it.
Do that by resolution.
Yes, by resolution. And I can draft that, but I will need help from the office staff to know what all would be included in that. I mean, I've seen bills for a couple years, and I'm trying to think off the top of my head whether anything else would qualify. There's things that we know, like dumping fees and that, tipping fees, I mean, those are going to be going away, anyway. But some of these are not well described enough for us to necessarily be able to approve them ahead of time. But we can think on it between now and then I will sync with the office staff to make sure that we know what's in bounds for that, and I'll draft a resolution accordingly.
Sounds good. So, did we get a motion yet?
Yeah.
Did we have a motion to approve the bills on here
We
that
have,
are not estimates?
we have a motion, a second, 2 amendments.
Okay. You'll have to, if you remember all of those.
The First Amendment was just putting the $35 back from last time.
Okay.
The Second Amendment was to approve any differences between estimates and actuals since last claims approval. Just taking care of the technicalities of the fact that we only approved some estimates last time. Or some of the things that we approved were only estimates.
Further discussion?
Good.
Okay. All in favor of accepting the bill with the accepting the motion with the two amendments, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same? Motion carries 4-0. Next thing on the list is to approve the tax levy. This is the copy of the tax levy for 2024, excuse me.
I have a copy of the
These are-
resolution. Did you need one?
These are just copies of old examples.
Oh, okay. Move to approve.
249-2023.
No, that's a separate one, is it not? We want to,
Isn't it one and the same?
actually,
We're-
actually, I don't think that one actually has to be approved, the levy. It's the resolution number that does.
Yes.
And this one requires a signature. Everybody has had a chance to see that one.
This ordinance, or this resolution allows for you to.
Approve that?
Yeah.
Okay?
So motion to approve resolution number 249-2023.
Second.
So we've got a motion and a second to approve Resolution 249, 2023, which is the levy certification page and the resolution to approve the levy for the taxes.
I just got one question. How is
Sure.
it a 2.9% increase? I thought it was limited to 1%.
Yeah.
Am I missing
Well,
something?
actually,
Last-
3.
Yeah, 2 point, yeah.
Yeah, last year it was actually 8.9.
Yeah.
Yeah? Because it's based on a percentage and it goes on, you have to take the maximum number that you can use, and the county will give you that, or the highest number that was taxed in the last 10 years. So they take that number and then they multiply it by 101,
Okay.
and then divide it by another calculation.
If the
And all
state
of those
tells us
were,
we're
all of our
compliant with state
calculations,
rules,
we
then-
went to the auditor's office and asked them, and they said, your numbers look fine, we can't tell you what to approve your levy on, but your numbers are accurate.
Okey doke. I'm satisfied.
Kind of
Yeah.
like the $30 license.
No.
Well, here was this one, here was last year's, David, and you can see that one was 8.9%. And the year before, I think, was 6 for 2021. But if you'll look at the numbers of increased, this year it was $1,642. Before it was considerably higher than that.
Yeah.
Well, I'm with Steve, and what was the deal with that 1% stuff? I never did understand that. Whether we get to the bottom of that tonight, not really relevant. Still,
It must be 1% based off of some different number. Because Jess is saying you times it by 101 of some different number of last 10 years. And 1% must just be kind of a shorthand for a more complicated formula.
I can show you the auditor's examples. If you're interested in those, those are the ones they send to us, the levy examples. Here's another, I don't know if that's the same example for 2024.
Yeah, this is.
And they actually give us a couple of the maximum numbers from the high and low based on all of these sheets that they put together.
Yeah, just the two figures don't add up here, 'cause we're seeing for the previous year here of 53,000. Well, here it was 56,000.
No. This is last year's.
Right.
And so this is setting a
And
new
then-
value.
And last year's was 56,544.
I think 56,544 is what we actually received.
Oh. Okay, so it'd be the 56,550 would be related to that number, but we took in less than projected, I think is what's being said there.
And one year we actually went higher than we should and they reduced that number, even though it was voted on. So the auditor gets these back. I have to actually deliver this to them
Yeah.
tomorrow.
Well, I'd like to get them for, they're about as clear as mud.
If I remember correctly, they've always been clear as mud. And-
Well,
But it's a 1% maximum, and if you don't take it, you don't get it back. You can't use
yeah, but when they start throwing out 8% of this, yeah, it's just the figures, the inputs don't jive. But I'm beating the wrong dead horse, I'd have to ask
Okay.
them.
I would love you to go spend some time with Julie Albrandt, which I've done twice, and if you come out of one of her training sessions and understand it. The one thing they did is I was able to take the calculator and take the number and divide it, and then add it to another number and subtract it, and I came up with the same number she did. So as long as you know the factors that they're using, which we do.
Well, the only thing, I don't want to beat this up all night. Whereas it stated in this resolution that last year's levy amount was $56,550.
That's right here. If you got a copy of that, or you've got the original right there.
And
Actually, this is the one that I want signed. And this one right here, I have to sign. Because I have to deliver these tomorrow.
in this column, previous year on this one, 53,242. So there's 3,000, yeah, over 3,000 difference. Maybe we're doing Enron now.
These numbers will be different every year based on
Well,
what kind of revenues you took in and what your tax was the year before.
I can just go by what it says here, or what they're telling us. Now, who they shake down and get out of them, or what they get later, is a different story.
I think part of what's factoring into it is new construction, this line B. That's part of what's allowing a larger than 1% jump. But I would agree with you that not all the numbers from year to year seem to match up.
No, they don't.
I'm good though.
Further discussion needed?
No, good.
David?
I'm good for, I don't have before me. I don't have my answers, but that's something we can't answer tonight. So, that's it, I'm good.
Okay. So we have a motion and a second to accept Resolution 249, 2023, which is the ordinance stipulating the amount of tax that we are going to levy this year. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
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 I abstain.
Okay? Anybody else signify by saying aye or not accepting this? Okay,
3-0.
so the motion passes 3-0-1. Levi, is it possible to see you before tomorrow morning sometime to sign this ordinance?
Yeah, as soon as I'm done at work, if you guys are still there, I'll swing down and
Okay.
sign off on it.
Okay, I need to actually hand deliver this to the assessor tomorrow.
Yep, I will make sure that I get down there.
Very good, thank
We'll
you.
go
No,
late
the
just for
30th.
you,
Let's
Levi.
do tomorrow.
Oh, yes, Day
Okay,
off.
next on the agenda, discuss the motion to amend the fee rate schedule, hourly rate for FOIA requests, sewer and water hookups. Let me, well, have you gentlemen got, the handouts that were given out?
I have one.
Oh, is this the,
Fee schedule.
Well, we
Yeah.
started off with going through some of the examples. And then the office staff got involved and put together this big list here of all the ones we could think of and all the ones they could come up with at the moment. So
And these,
I don't know if you remember, our lawyer told us that something we needed to do here a while back was to pull out the rate and fees out of our ordinance and resolution and put them on a sheet so that when you want to update those, you don't have to go back and change every single resolution. So I'm not exactly sure how we go about that, but these are just the ones that could have been come up with in this office here just in the last day. And as you can see, it's a pretty substantial list. And there could be more needed to be added to this.
didn't we raise cemetery up to 875?
Yes, these are what we believe are current charges that the fees are charged. So a lot of them have not been updated. If you go to sewer hookups, I believe that goes back to like
Jason is
84.
800 and Niche is 975, I think.
Yeah, Nietzsche is 200.
No, that 975. That's
Uh,
200.
Excuse me, that's opening and closing. Correct.
What is the cemetery all correct? From what we upgraded it?
Yes. Should have been. Grave spaces, 800, okay.
Does anybody remember off the top of their head when we did that?
A month and a half,
August,
month,
September,
2 months ago, very recently.
September.
Okay. I'll look, don't worry about it.
Yeah, double check, that just.
Okay. So I have a number of questions as we go through this. before we actually get into FOIA requests and stuff. So for print copies, I was in here a number of months ago when someone came in and wanted to run copies for the Chamber of Commerce flyer, and there were questions about our rates at that time and whether there were like bulk rates, because in theory, if a person comes in and wants to run, 300 copies, they would be running 300 copies at either the black and white or the color rate, and it would be 300 of them, and just straight out, right? Is that? I'm really not saying this with anything to try and push, but is that what we want as far as like, do we want to give a bulk rate on this, or is it just per copy, 1 or 300? It's still 15 cents a piece.
Well, that's for black and white only.
Right.
Color's 35 cents. And then it goes also whether it's one side or two sided.
Right.
For instance, like the one that the chamber and the library just printed, there's a substantial amount of color, and we do get charged for that
Yeah.
from RICO.
Is the last Rico bill?
Yes.
No.
I'll find it. Is it in that top drawer?
It's in the claims here, Joe.
Well, I want to see the actual breakdown.
Oh. I see postage. Postage is now 61, I believe, not 50.
66.
66?
66.
66, yeah, I heard it was
How much?
66.
I don't-
That was today.
Cents.
It's unbelievable.
I just
When
don't-
we go buy stamps for the water bills,
4 hours.
well, it's over $300, which is amazing just to send those bills within town here. So,
How much it cost to hand deliver them?
excuse me for saying, but most of the people don't have their bill when they come. They have to ask. So,
Well, at that pace, we could almost pay for the website by letting people get their bills online.
Yeah, and pay them by online. That one,
well, that's not a silly thing. In the
No.
future, some of those things, we're gonna have to be creative,
Oh yeah, it'll go there.
because it's gonna become just too costly to do things the old way.
The sad irony is the very reason that we want to start using more digital delivery is the reason why they're jacking the rates up, is because their costs are going up and they have fewer pieces of mail going out to pay for it.
right.
I guess where I'd land, and I think, Joe, this might be what you're looking for, but as it pertains to bulk copying, as would be applicable for the chamber flyer, I would be inclined to make sure that the bulk rates match exactly what we're being billed, because this would be different if we owned the copier and we had to factor in the fact that every copy we run degrades the machine, and when the machine gets degraded, we have to buy a new one. But because we can run that all day long and we just pay for it, and theoretically if it breaks, and I know they don't come out to service instantly, so this doesn't quite work, but if it breaks, we don't care because we pay a fee to have them come in and magically make it go back into service. I'm okay with the smaller rates being a little bit high because there is a inconvenience to a person coming in here and making a copy, and it takes the clerk staff out of what they're otherwise doing. But if a person's coming in, and more specifically for the chamber flyer, I would probably like to see a bulk rate over a fairly high number be just at cost. I don't see why we should make a profit, so to speak, off of it.
Have you ever figured out how much a copy costs?
And I think that's what Joe's looking up.
Ironically, I don't think we got a Rico bill this
Well, how much is a ream of paper?
Can't answer it that way, buy it by the case, but sure, you could break it down that way, sure.
Now look at
And of course, it's gonna depend on the quality of paper too. You could
Yeah.
buy,
we get paper from Office Depot, right?
I don't know, it's a Office Depot. Hmm.
Thank you.
Copy and printer paper.
Okay.
So we buy like the 10 ream box.
How many's in a ream? Like 500?
We are,
I'm not sure.
our RICO cost is per image is point, or 0.83 cents, so 1 cent. is what we're paying.
Color or black and
Black
white?
and white, that's black and white.
Okay, 1 cent.
If we go up to color, it becomes 5.5 cents.
Okay. So
Then you have to have somebody,
That's what they
When you-
figure, excuse
you
me.
gotta have somebody run the machine.
Right.
It doesn't, when you start running 300, you gotta keep track of things there.
But I think those figures that you come up, Joe, are just wear and tear, that doesn't include the paper.
No,
That's what we're paying to, as a lessee, that's like mileage
Pre-
on your car. So it's,
Privilege.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
the cost of
of the
wear and
ink.
tear and ink.
The gasoline in
The
the car.
gasoline. going-
Not the
and,
paper.
Yeah, not the paper. Doesn't include paper.
That include the time of the people doing it.
Okay.
53.99.
Are we up to a penny a sheet yet, paper? My goodness.
Yep, looks like that's exact. It's 1.07 cents per sheet.
Wow.
So, for black and white, and we'll get to the human impact here in a sec, but just to take a sheet of paper and to put ink on it, it costs us 2 cents. Now, we're charging the 15 cents, but again, as it has been pointed out, someone's got to run the copier. When a person comes in to use our copier, the clerks have to stop what they're doing and go do that. So our total impact is more than 2 cents a sheet.
So whatever they're making an hour, divide that out per minute.
Something like that. So I'm fine with the rates under a certain amount, but just to throw a number out there, I think like over 200 copies, we should go to 5 and 10 cents.
Over 200 copies?
Yeah. Because the thing is, if someone comes in and says, I want you to run 300 copies, you put it in the thing, you plug in how much you want, you hit go, and it's going to keep spitting it out
As long as you load paper.
as long as you load paper. And we'd still be making a profit. At 5 cents a sheet, we're still charging over twice what it's costing us. At 10 cents a sheet, we're still doing over twice what it's costing us. But I think it's a little bit more reason because it scales, right? Is that for every sheet of paper you do, the impact on the office staff does not scale at a 1-to-1 rate, right? Two sheets, doing 2 copies is not does not take twice as long as doing 1 copy. Is my thought.
Well, I know that a lot of places, they've been 25 cents a sheet for years. And probably more in some places.
Your standard Office Depots, Costco's,
For B&L?
probably for black and white.
Yeah.
And it's all over the place, but it's above 20 cents for black and white
Per sheet.
per sheet. And it's closer to anywhere between 30 and 70 cents.
Well, we
For
can
color.
leave it. I don't want to spend a lot of time there, but I thought I'd at least bring it up.
Is Is there a lot outside, or, I mean, is there other people here? We have a lot of usage, people coming in and doing it.
Typically in town.
It's just the
To
chamber,
the best of my knowledge.
for around Christmas time
One
or-
for the library and a couple
So,
times a
since
year.
I've been on the chamber, they've not used the city to do it.
The chamber itself might not be using the city, but anyone can throw a sheet in there, and a number of people, when they want to
Oh.
put
I
a
see
sheet
what you're
in there, they don't maybe have the printer at home to produce those sheets.
saying. So they come here. Got
And
it.
this has been the library a couple times, so you know who pays for the library's copies.
And now that was for black and white. What you did going to color? Is it considerably more?
I think he
It's-
said over
yeah.
30 cents.
35, anywhere between 30 and 70 cents.
So it goes from half a,
Oh, I was just wanting to make sure we knew what our hard
Yeah.
costs were on the,
And-
for the machine.
I wouldn't advocate subsidizing the cost to anyone, but I just thought it is a net good to our community, I think, to have communication methods like the chamber flyer. And so if we can do things to help the community communicate better and still have us be in the black, I'm happy to do that.
that's what Facebook is.
Anyways, if there's not an appetite for it, we can move on. But
Well, I guess the general consensus is, do we feel this is too low a price?
not when we're not talking bulk, certainly. I mean,
Ironically, those stores indicate that if you go bulk, the rate actually goes up.
It should.
Yeah?
okay, so FOIA,
Okay, that's a good one.
that all looks right
Well,
to me.
Memorial, does everyone good with the Memorial Hall rental?
That's good. Is that what it seems like we were charging more for that. We went through this, what, a couple of years ago?
We've done this one.
And these are what we're currently charging as of today? Or are these just requested?
No, this is.
I think they went in and to all the known fees and what have you that we do, or they're mentioned in an ordinance, that's what's on the sheet.
The other thing to keep in mind, though, is that this is maybe what we're charging, but as far as what someone is paying, in order to use the Memorial Hall, I believe they have to provide proof of insurance, right? So something to keep in mind is that in some home policies, I think you can put it as some kind of a rider on your home policy, but sometimes you need to get event insurance. And so, I mean, technically, we're only obligated to think about what we're charging them, but a person, in order to use the hall, what a person has to outlay is often more than this.
That being said, it is a bargain. What we
Well-
charge for an venue.
Yeah, kind of.
On the other side of that, I would consider changing it.
Yeah, I guess when you look at the memorial halls around, having recently been in Odessa's and Davenport's, they look quite a bit different than Harrington's.
A little bit more makeup.
modern, or-
Yeah.
Yes.
And toilets that reliably flush and the whole 9 yards.
Got it. Okay, I'm sorry I brought it up for even discussion.
No,
But at least
No, it's on there.
we've scanned the topic. We can move to the next. I'm good.
It's not an inappropriate topic, but someday, if we can get more on top of things like water and roads in this city, I think we're going to have to look at getting grants to put that memorial hall into a better place someday.
Going to have to is.
Have to.
Yes.
I mean, just walk around the floor in there and bounce a little bit, and you'll find at least a few spots where you'll get scared.
And don't.
Well, one thing, I kind of find it peculiar. The kitchen only is 40 per day. Hall only per day is 45. Then we got per day, I guess that's for both of them, it's 70. For $15 off of what it should be.
Well, no, so the thought is, so the kitchen is not actually just the kitchen, it would be the kitchen in the senior meals area
The $70,
is 40.
right?
And then the hall is referring to the main area.
Mhm.
And so it's giving a discount to people if they want the whole facility. Because practically, the city's not going to rent out, or very rarely would the city rent out the hall area to one group and the kitchen area to another. So we're never going to get dual use out of the facility really anyway.
No, I know there was, but I mean, why are we at 70 instead of 85?
You could be, it's just, I think it
I'm
was
just
just
going
there
by these
to,
numbers.
yeah. It's kind of like when you go to a store and it's like, well, you can buy A and or B for X amount, but if you buy them together, we'll give you a deal type situation. I think the other thing of it is that the kitchen, when you rent the hall only, technically you have no access to the kitchen with it. So, and when you do the $70, you might be adding the kitchen area just to get the kitchen and not care about the senior meals area. So you'll be renting that $40 space and not using part of it. So I think that $15 discount is an acknowledgement of the fact that you're getting a space you're not likely to use.
So maybe it should be broke down to, I guess if you're using that, well, what the senior meals are,
Yeah.
what else is it used for? I mean, could you rent that separate and not the kitchen or the big hall, dance hall?
Yeah. Well, rent the senior meals area without the kitchen.
Right. Does it?
I
I'm
think
trying
it's
to
the same
think,
price. but
Well,
you
yeah,
just
I
wouldn't-
mean, we've had community meetings in there where it was just easier to go into the senior meals area where they sit down and eat. And
Right.
just set up chairs and have a chat and then walk out without
Well,
using the kitchen.
well, to Stephen's point, you rent the big hall, and then you just use the kitchen, you're not using that other part. But every time I've been in there,
For me, from an overhead point,
it all gets rented.
if it was me, I would almost flip those because I'm looking at the backside of this, the cost of cleaning up the facility
Right,
afterwards.
right.
Well, maybe we should break it up in 3 ways and not have a total. You have a senior meals area cost if you want that. You have a big hall area cost if you want that, and you have a kitchen cost. And then there is no deal for all. Like you can assemble your package how you want to assemble it. But I think,
Can I chime in there real quick?
yeah, go for it.
We always included the kitchen with the large room because no matter who we rented to, they used the kitchen no
Correct.
matter what. We always ended up having to clean the kitchen. It ended up becoming a proper deal.
Exactly, you're right.
Well, but in such a situation, their rate would just be main area plus kitchen. But right now, we have no way of excluding the kitchen for something like the senior meal space.
We have kitchen only.
Right.
The only thing I would, well, if you go by these numbers here, the Memorial Hall per day should be 85 instead of 70. Because you have kitchen and 40 and 45 for the hall only, so like he said, I mean, that's the way I remember it too, what Mr. Fink said. You can't keep them out of there anyways, I've never seen it locked and boarded up, there's always somebody. Now, whether they use the stoves and the, facilities in there, there's a difference. They might just use it for throwing sandwiches together or drinks or whatever, but they're not using the stoves and, all that garbage.
Meet the candidates for them. I mean, the use of the kitchen was
Yeah.
limited to putting bottles of water in the refrigerator to keep it cold.
Which they probably could have chose to avoid.
Yeah, they're-
Okay, I'll throw this out there. Kitchen $15, senior meals $25, main hall $35. Assemble it any way you want to.
See those bills.
Kitchen 15, senior meal area 25, and the main hall area 35. So Levi's point, many people will want the main hall area and the kitchen. So it would be 15 plus 35.
There's no way to lock them out, so it ends up getting used anyways with nobody policing it.
We probably should put locks on those doors though, because we've had issues in the past with people getting into the kitchen, leaving in a mess, and then the senior meals, people being
Right.
frustrated with us, and we should at least have the option, regardless of how reliably we actually use it, to lock that area, I think. We might not be good about actually using it, but if the lock's not there, we can't do it.
So I've made a line item on this. So kitchen only per day was how much?
15, it's just a number to shoot at.
In the senior meal seating area,
25
and then the
dance
hall.
hall.
Yeah,
How much?
35. In some configurations, that'll be a little bit more, but it also allows for configurations that will be cheaper than before, like the candidate form.
25 cents to use the bathrooms.
Yeah, leave a nickel.
15 cents for a paper towel.
I'm kidding, folks.
Yeah.
$1.25 a flush.
Yeah, and technically,
Put a meter on the water.
while we're here, we should
That's
do something about the Lions Club situation. Because Lions Club has not been paying this rate. And I'm not saying that they should necessarily, I think the thinking has been that Lions Club is a organization that has done a lot for the hall. They've put a lot of time and effort into that hall, and so partly it's in recognition of what they've done for the hall, that they get a special rate. It's also because they're there year after year, and it's also because they consistently use it twice a month. But all that being said, I know this from when I was treasurer, that the Lions Club did not pay a rate that was actually the Memorial Hall rate. And so I'm not saying they should pay a different rate. I'm just saying at the minimum, if we're going to have a fee schedule, we shouldn't be charging the Lions Club a rate that is not on the fee schedule. Otherwise, where does that rate come from and who approved it? The flip side of it is if we made a Lions Club rate, that would be putting in stone of,
Biased? That thing?
yeah. I will say this, what they have done for the Memorial Hall that we own and we are generally not maintaining a lot, they painted it, they put in new fixtures, they've done a lot for the hall, and I don't think it's really favoritism to give them a consideration rate for it. I really don't.
Kind of
They
work
bought 2
in
new
lieu of rent.
stoves.
Yeah. But it's
I
not,
think the Lions should always get a discount regardless. That's as
Well-
much as they do for the community and for that building.
I would agree. I'm just saying we'll need to acknowledge that what we're doing is we're saying this club gets it for a certain rate and no one else does. And I'm okay with that, but that's a dangerous precedent to give a favoritism.
Do
like
they
that.
clean up after themselves? After a meeting or?
They
Sunday?
put the chairs and tables away. They don't generally sweep. If it's requested that they put tables and chairs away, like usually they do, but sometimes someone says, "Oh, X group said that they need the tables out anyway, so just leave them." So sometimes you'll walk in after a Lions Club meeting and everything will still be up. But they generally, short of sweeping, try to leave the hall in whatever condition was requested for them to leave it in.
So instead of referring it to the Lions Club rate,
Yeah.
could we refer to it as an
Organization rate.
annual membership?
Yeah. Yeah.
Just like skiing, I buy a season's pass,
Mhm.
which
Yeah.
is markedly cheaper than going day to day.
Yeah.
I think that would be relevant.
Yeah, I would agree. As I recall, I don't know if it's changed since when I stopped being treasurer, but when I was treasurer, I paid $600 for the year.
I ought to see you in pass it.
And and so that was what, twice a month for, was it 9 months? So that's 18 meetings for $600. We'd need to check, we would need to verify that that's still what's going on. But I think at that point it was $600 for 18 meetings.
Per member.
No, for the group would pay
Oh.
$600.
Oh, group would.
Yeah.
I should count this.
600 divided by 18.
It's 30 something.
Yep, 30, 32 and a half.
Yeah.
Or we just leave it like it is and forget
Well, what I don't like about it is that we're charging if we leave it how it is, we're still charging a group rate that is not on the fee schedule, and it's probably not in a resolution, and I'm guessing no one ever approved it. It was just, we'll just give you a deal. And even if we codify the deal exactly as it is, I would like to put it in writing.
So annual membership to organizations?
Yeah.
it. But then, that's done if he can, so
So
they can
put
go in
put an
anytime.
annual membership. How many times you renting it?
Exactly.
80 times a year, did you say?
18.
18.
So then put it, annual membership is 18
Yes.
plus days of rental service.
Yes.
Boom, there it is.
18 or less.
No, or more. You
No,
know,
it
so-
just 18, and then if you have to go at 19 is the regular rate. We'll
Yeah.
just
But by stating that, anybody who says, yep, we'll rent it 18 times a year,
Mhm.
okay,
Yeah,
then you get the club membership.
up front.
and to take it to a round
Well,
number,
sure.
just make it $35 because Joe said it was 30. Was it 33? and change?
33 and 33 cents.
So let's just take it to 35. I mean, electrical costs and everything have gone up a bit, so we'll round it up to a nice even number of $35 and call it good.
Do you still remember?
Yeah.
Just so you know.
So,
I didn't know if you were still.
I guess I'll abstain from that.
To tell you how much rates have gone up, our library cost us $400 a month now, and it's only open 2 days a week.
What was it costing?
Electricity,
It's-
I can't tell you, but it's up to that much. Wouldn't
400.
wouldn't surprise me that it's close to double of what it used to be.
700, you said.
It was about $700 when it was done.
Right,
And it's 400 still.
yeah, but you're saying that's high?
Well, when you think
Isn't
of
it?
that, it's only
Well,
2 days a
No, but
year.
it's just,
When you take the end of it, that's 10 hours a week, maybe?
well, what's the heat lift on? Where's that thermostat at?
There is allegedly a programmable thermostat in there. Whether it's been programmed is another question.
Well,
So we're gonna get a current programmable thermostat in there so we can do it right. Lighting has to be addressed in there. That lighting is highly
and
inefficient.
speaking of thermostats, the Memorial Hall, I'll buy it if this council's generally we can get it in, but we should get a different thermostat for the Memorial Hall.
I thought we already fixed that. We haven't addressed that?
Well, it works. My concern is that
A
I've
lot-
walked in there too many times and it's been left high.
Well, okay, that was, rings a bell now. We were gonna do that, and we were also talking about, the thermostats that are, nobody else can monkey with. They're-
Right, and what I would recommend is you can get thermostats with motion sensors on them. And the advantage of that is we lock it out so that only the clerks or Jess, mayor, or someone knows the code. And so what happens is you walk in there and it starts heating up. You don't get to take it to 75 degrees or it won't go to the 75 degrees, but you don't
We'll
get to
try.
Yeah, you don't get to just run it on end, and you don't get to forget it when you leave. When it sees that there's been no motion in 2 hours, it'll set itself back down to a lower rate. But I've gone on,
Mouse
you guys
there.
know I go on walks at nights, and sometimes I'll see that the lights are on in there. So I'll open it up, turn the lights off, and I'll say, wow, it's warm in here. Go over to the thermostat, someone left it on 71 degrees. You know, and how many days does it just burn natural gas while it's trying to heat up to 71 degrees?
Have we isolated the price of that? Did we go with that alone?
Anyway, task at hand.
Yeah.
We,
Okay, so the rate schedule, I'm good with the FOIA rates as presented. I don't know if anyone has any objections to that,
I have a suggestion,
but.
and this may be highly unpopular. But it's the hour labor charge. What immediately went into my mind is the first hour
The automatic.
is automatic free, first hour. We'll give them an hour. After that, it's the same rate we're paying our attorney, $190 an hour.
Can you legally do that? Because in theory, we're only allowed to charge costs. So if we're not using an attorney for 5 hours, how can we bill attorney rates for 5 hours?
But what if we have to get an attorney involved to interpret, is that particular request something that we can comply with?
Okay,
After Mr. Schmick was here telling us about the pitfalls of not completing one correctly,
so then I think you're saying that the rate for that should be $23.50 to, shall we say, $200 an hour?
I think so.
Because it all depends on who you're using. If you're using clerk 1, you're using clerk 2, or you're using a lawyer, the range is $23.50 an hour to $200.
And when you charge by the hour, you have to have it documented.
Yeah.
So I would be okay with that.
I could go along with that, but I think that's personally kind of a burden of paperwork on that. I would like to entertain something like, okay, you come in with a request, it's so much for this, and automatically it's somehow a hard number. It's $50 or it's $100 for staff. Whether you know, I don't know. That he didn't give us any models or anything to break down and look at examples. Did he?
I need to give a good word report here.
Oh, what?
A good word report. We had one FOIA request recently that took a lot of time.
Mm-hmm.
Today, the person who received the FOIA request brought in a card thanking the people who worked on it. Had no idea there was as much paperwork available as was given to this person. Gave them a gift card to get, I think it was at the hearing house. And just couldn't believe what had been sent to her, paid for the postage, paid for the cost of the paper, and said, you know, I had no idea I was going to get this much. So,
Thank you to that person.
in respect for that, there was much appreciation for what was done, and they had no idea that much information was available when they realized how much time it took to gather all of that paperwork. So,
Thank you for sharing that.
pardon me?
Thank you for sharing that.
Well, yeah, it just needs to be shared. I mean, it's easy for us to be cynical about everything, but when somebody steps out of that and says, you know, wow,
Yeah.
thanks so very much. So, it needs to be done.
You know, and I may have spoke out of turn. I think more information is needed on the background on compiling a fee to do this. I mean, I don't know really where to begin and end on it. I mean, well, they're going to ask for
I
it.
think,
I'd like to know what other.
I think 90% of them are probably going to be taken care of in that first hour.
Yeah.
Okay, so I would go, I'll say, give them the first hour free, but extend the labor to be a range of $23.50 to $200.
I don't know that there's anything in here how we deal with contractors, but we spent equal as much time, and this office was used today for similar things, but our contractors regularly ask us to.
Under the guise of Freedom of Information Act.
No, under the guise that when they're trying to get information on all the contracts and the things they're doing for the city grants,
Right.
you know,
But legally, these
Yeah.
charges are operating within a provision specific to FOIA. And I think the concern is
Yeah.
that what Representative Schmick said is that we can pass along costs to the requester. And so that means that we have to pass along costs in the manner in which we would incur them. So that would be hourly or for the resource that we actually purchased. Things like the lawyer time should be very easy. Hopefully, they would be billing us, and we would be passing that bill directly to the FOIA requester. And for the time of the office staff, it will take some paperwork for them to record it, but the alternative is right now, we don't get any reimbursement for the time whatsoever. So a few minutes to record while I spent from 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. on this day working on the request is a small price to pay for reclaiming $23 to $30 back for that entire hour.
How do we decide $23.50 or $30, depending on who does it?
Yeah, just who does it. And that's why these rates are incurred in the exact
Right.
manner in which if Donna does it, it's one rate. If Cynthia does it, it's another. If the lawyer's involved, it's another.
Well, this is a good example. Did both you ladies put time into it together? Okay.
So I'm looking at the ACLU Washington document. And it said U.S. Department of Health and Human Health Services. You may be charged between 23 and 83 an hour
Oh, they do have a range?
Yeah.
Okay.
for a FOIA request.
for a FOIA request.
Wow.
And I'm going to assume that that's very similar. It's depending on what person is and what their pay grade and expertise is involved with that part of it.
Well, it's not a free thing, although it's public information, it's it's not free, is it?
Right, but, I think that what that does is cut down on somebody or organization that would abuse it until you have to overload the system. Not saying these are people that have asked for it, but I mean,
Right.
they're probably in there just for that reason.
And right here in Human and Health Services, they've got it right there. If you're GS 8, 9, or 10, or 15, they've got different rates depending on what your grade is.
And keeping in mind, we may not have had any instances of abuse here yet, but Representative Schmick was very adamant that he is aware of numerous instances of abuse.
Right.
By not having something like this in place, we might have an instance that is targeted towards abuse by the person requesting, and we would have no protection
Recourse.
against it.
Yeah.
We're just on the hook for as much time as it takes. I want all of your information since 1950.
Yeah.
Go.
Or you get angry citizens and 50 of them come out here and ask for it.
Well, what's interesting here is U.S.
And
Department
a lot of it's not
Interior.
digitized, you know?
U.S. Department of Interior
Yes.
says if the costs are likely to exceed $250, they're going to charge you ahead of time, required to pay before the search begins, effectively as a retainer.
That's only fair.
Happy to add that to our schedule.
Well, going by what you were saying, protection in the future.
Yes.
Yeah.
Of somebody, a group or whatever, government official, whatever. You want to put stuff
Yeah. And it might not even be individuals. Keep in mind there are media outlets and all sorts of things
Right.
that could be from the other side of the state. I mean, it could. I don't think we can't turn down a Freedom of Information Act request just because the person's from New York.
Right, and that's,
I mean,
kind of, you said that, that's where I was going with that.
Or Seattle?
Peter Davenport
Yeah.
once got his number for his hotline put out on the internet where someone said, just call and spam this number. And it gave him problems for years. Imagine if for some reason someone says, I hate Harrington. I want everyone to start spamming the city of Harrington with Freedom of Information Act requests. You can be all throughout this country. You could be in Guam and send the requests. And that's what we're going to have to legally be doing.
So do we want to set up, according to what Councilman Armand just read, we want to probably pick a number in there, a dollar amount that it will be prepaid?
Even if it's higher than that, I think we should.
Yeah, like $50.
Well, that could go kind of quick. But
Oh.
$250 is fine for me. We can always lower it in the future. If 50 is where we want to start, I'll vote for that.
That's after, you're still going for the free first hour?
Yeah, because at least from my perspective, I'm not looking. I've always been a big advocate of the YouTube stream and other things like publishing the documents that we can. I'm a big fan of government transparency. I'm not trying to crack down on that. So the free first hour, if we believe that will take care of the majority of the good, well-intentioned requests, then let's do this. This is a measure to protect against abuse, and so to me, it really only needs to target abusive situations.
Right, and that's per hour, that's the labor we're talking about.
Yes.
We still charge the black and white, the copies.
Yeah, if it's
Yeah,
physical.
yeah, the copy costs are all in addition to this.
Okay, that's just sort of clear for everybody.
And none of those would even apply if it was a digital. As years go by, more and more of it will be able to be emailed rather than physical. Because we generate far more digital documentation every year than we do physical. I would assume, I would hope.
So what number are we thinking for it goes in excess of?
We can do 50 if that's where David wants to do. I'm fine with that.
There's also, you know, so, I mean,
Remember, this is a fee scale. We can change this almost instantaneously.
Yeah.
but what's to determine if, how do you get it up front? Who makes that determination, I guess?
So the clerk,
Mm-hmm.
So is this gonna take the,
especially,
at least a day or two? Boom, I need $50 up front,
Mm-hmm.
and you charge so much an hour after.
well, you're charged the fee, and then once you get to 50, then it's okay. It's, the way I see it, it's $50. We've met that. We've only got a quarter of this done. We're projecting we're going to need X number of dollars to finish this.
Right, I mean, you have to pay that up front. It's a down payment.
And you don't get the information until you pay for
Correct.
it.
Correct.
Yeah.
But it's to prevent somebody coming in here and say, I want this, and that, and it's 2 weeks worth of stuff,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
and
Mm-hmm.
whatever, and then, well, no, I was just kidding.
Mm-hmm.
Nope.
Or as Representative Schmick said, just walked out and put it in the trash can.
Yeah, it really wasn't about the information, it was just about,
It was just being a,
yeah,
Mhm.
yeah,
whatever you wanna call it.
Yeah.
not a good citizen.
So I'm good with all those
So-
changes. I think the last thing then is the utilities, right, the connections. The question I would have, when we talk about water and sewer connections versus on the next page where it talks about voluntary or involuntary shut-off / turn on. So
What is it?
That's Tony's daughter.
Well, does she have snacks or anything?
I don't know.
So
Do you want a snack?
No.
I can offer you a cookie.
So if a person does not pay their water bill, and they get their water shut off,
Mhm.
they're incurring a $5 fee. to have it shut off, and they're incurring a $5 fee to get it turned back on again? Is that?
This could have been in 75 when
Yeah.
this was put in place.
So I
I
don't.
could probably go back and look to tell you, but
Yeah, I think it's a little early, or a little later than that, but still, it's fairly low. I just try to think of what Davenport, I just saw this have them up like that. It's- I know we didn't have the, what do you call it, the low-income senior disabled citizen, we didn't have that broke down, and they did, and we kind of did away with that. About what, 3, 4 years ago?
I thought we did away with it.
Yeah, about at least 3 years ago.
with
Four.
got rid of what?
For low income or senior or disabled citizens.
The discount water, help me out, what the heck was it
'Cause-
called?
It's a discount rate.
Well, yeah, but it was for people, family incomes, not certain thresholds and all that stuff.
Because
And,
we had that discussion in the same
yeah.
time where we talked about inactive rates, and we were in the Memorial Hall after COVID stuff.
Yeah, but we had one before, I know there was discussion of that before, but
He's gonna look at the code book, which I don't know if is current through that.
our ordinance,
With that updated ordinance.
I don't think we ever did really officially update that. I mean, we maybe did amend it.
Senior citizen discounts. If you make under $18,000 a year, $11 for your water and so much for sewage,
But-
which is $30.
But there also was, I'm trying to remember, Nathan was there. There was something that you had to, they only got this after, if they went to,
Rural resources.
rural resources.
It's all
or
in there. It
yes.
keeps going on the next page. All of the things you have to jump through the hoops.
Yeah,
You get to the second page there and you have to first go to all of those places and prove that you're blind, prove that you are the head of the household, prove that you only get this much, that nobody helps pay your rent. There's a whole list of things. It's on the second page there.
Okay, something for a separate time then. I think we should at least adjust that to be percentages instead of hard dollar amounts
percentages.
of your total bill. I mean, it's something for a different time because we can't action.
Oh, I get you, yeah.
Right? It's just, it's saying $9, $24.50. None of that is proportional to the overall price, right? It's actually to the citizen's advantage that if you get 10% off and the bill keeps growing, then it's always 10% of the bill. Your discount actually gets larger as the bill gets bigger.
I think these were in 92.
Right. So
1992.
I wouldn't do it as hard dollar amounts, but that's something for a different time. But so for the voluntary or involuntary shut off and turn on, first of all, we should strike the word voluntary, right? Because there is no such thing as a voluntary turn off or turn on. Because we don't have inactive accounts anymore.
Well, we're gonna turn off some people's water here
But that would be.
because they want it shut off for the winter. They're gonna be gone. They're gonna drain their pipes.
Okay, but their bill rate isn't changing.
No, that's correct.
Okay,
That's very correct.
okay.
You missed that part of the incendiary argument that we had here. There was no argument, it was just a,
Well, we've discussed with our public before why that is, and I am more than happy to have that discussion with anyone as to why
I
that
was
will
too.
continue to be.
It says a customer may request voluntary discontinuance of water service during periods that the premises are vacant.
that's right,
So that's what you're referring to. right?
that's correct. And then he said, you won't be charging me for water, and I said, we will be charging you for water. But I'm not going to be using it. I understand that. But I will still turn off your water so that you can drain your pipes. Well, how stupid do you think I am? I didn't say you were stupid. So then he started calling me Buttercup. Well, I'm gonna tell you right now, Buttercup, I'm not paying that kind of a bill. And I said, my name's not Buttercup, and if we're gonna start calling people names, the conversation is done right now.
Well, so what he should do is go into his house, go to his circuit breaker, turn off the whole circuit breaker, and then call Avista and say, I don't want to get the base charge because my can't be using any electricity right now.
Actually,
Yeah.
he paid the bill,
Mm-hmm.
and when I went over to give him the copy of the bill he left here, he asked if we could start over again. Can we have a do-over? What does that mean? Well, it didn't go so good last time. Well, of course we can. So,
Do we want to leave it at $5?
thank you.
Thanks for sharing that.
For an involuntary or a voluntary shut-off,
I'm just thinking of our public works person's time.
Yeah.
Grab the tool, go up there, find the water meter, open it up.
And what percentage of the time do you find that it doesn't turn off?
Multiple.
sometimes,
Right?
yeah.
Or he turns it off and City Hall gets a call because he turned off the wrong meter because they
Right.
were on the wrong side of the street or some weird anomaly.
Or he
that
trying
this
to
city is full of.
turn it off and it only turns 90 degrees from
And
here
snap.
to there. And he tried to turn it this way to shut it off. That happens too.
Well,
Usually
that's-
usually only breaks the top off the bronze piece.
That's on us. I'm just thinking of pure time.
Do we currently have low income?
We're not doing it.
Okay.
I did this dive for a lady who asked, who meets all of the qualifications. One of our neighbors.
But they have to go through those Davenport hoops before he can.
They gotta go through and make sure, and they've already tried for rural resources and were denied, but that's
Okay, there you
neither.
go. Okay, so you're thinking maybe.
So how long do we want to, think of it in terms of time before money. How long do we want to say it takes Troy to do that? Half hour?
Yeah, probably.
So
You know, before it's all said and done, yeah.
I say we move that to $15.
For the
15.
voluntary turn off or turn on,
Yeah.
it's both, voluntary or involuntary,
Correct.
so.
Weekends or holidays?
That's a different story then. If
Well,
you call
we're-
him out on a weekend, you're gonna, or after hours, you're gonna pay him for 2 hours of overtime.
Why do you need, the citizen can only prompt a voluntary turn off or turn on. Why do they need to do that on holidays or are we saying that they're like having a water event in their house and
Right.
they need to?
Something
Okay.
happened, what, would we still charge them, say all of a sudden,
I'm,
you were drilling something or whatever, and you busted a pipe, or something happened in there?
I'm stuck in Seattle and I'm not gonna make it home. And I'm gonna ask people, disaster, turn off the water.
Well, no, I mean, you have a busted pipe in your house
Well, there's
Yeah.
that too,
going,
yeah.
and I need it shut off, so that very well could be on a Saturday, Sunday.
Yeah.
Yes,
Whatever.
emergency is an emergency.
So-
Doesn't matter what day it's on.
Well, okay, so if it's on a weekend or a holiday, that is a 2-hour overtime minimum for Troy.
That's right.
So $100.
Doesn't-
It, there's
Yeah,
a bit of a
that'll cover
premium
it.
represented
That'll cover
there.
it.
That'll cover it, just.
The alternative is the shut-offs are always in the street. Kaiser knows where they are. Call Kaiser, get a cheaper rate to turn off your water from them.
Yeah,
The biggest problem we have is when the pipes rupture. We don't even know where the water meters are half the time. They're not
Oh,
always,
yeah,
they're not always easily found.
right, they're covered up by asphalt. or
Even though I just
gravel.
spent $500 to buy a tool that now we have.
Mhm.
Okay, so I think the last thing then is the utility, water and sewer connections. If, and this is a big if, because this has been a part of the discussion in regards to inactive accounts. If these connections are not talking about, I don't want to pay water during the winter, I'm getting rid of my connection. Okay, we're talking about legitimate, like when the Zika house lost its connection, or the distillery creating a new connection. As long as this is genuinely really about the connections, and no one's trying to manipulate this in order to get around the inactive accounts rule. My argument would be, I think, that the fee schedule should really be more of just what is on the right-hand side in the description. If it is all on a cost basis, you pay for the parts, you pay for the labor, you pay for everything that we pay for, we should actually say that water and sewer connections are just at cost. Because it is an advantage to the city to have every new water and sewer connection, especially when we do not allow inactive accounts. When a new house comes on and there's a new water connection, it is theoretically permanent, a permanent new source of revenue for us. Plus, I don't think we want to do things that would discourage people from building new businesses and stuff in Harrington. Is that why should we make a profit off it? Now, obviously, why should we subsidize it? We shouldn't. All of our costs should be covered. But why should we make a $140 profit on a water connection?
I lived in a town where it cost $10,000.
Yeah, but that was probably a flat fee, right? Was that
Building brand new houses when they were putting in dozens of them.
was that plus labor and parts after that 10,000 though?
Well, 10,000 was the cost. If you were going to build a new house, the cost for you to hook the water is a one-time fee.
Sure, but I'm
Anyways.
saying was that inclusive of the labor and parts?
Yes, I believe so. It's a one-time fee.
Right, and so what I'm saying is they could very well be paying us $2,000 for a water connection, but that will all be in itemized costs. Troy spent this many hours. We had to buy this pipe. We had to do this. We had to do that.
Yeah.
But they wouldn't be paying us anything other than what it cost us to do it.
So,
Okay?
look at it from a point of view that this is strictly brand new. New house goes up,
Yeah.
all the rest of it.
Or you would be restoring, like if the Zika house put its water back on, I think that house lost its connection decades ago. And so that would be the recreation of a failed connection.
The two Zika houses, the one he lives in and the one
Yes.
Tim lives in.
Or another one?
Or is the one across from Hamilton? Or not, no, that's not Zika, it's the one that's west of Tony and Kelly,
You mean,
where the house got demolished.
well, Levi
Oh,
used to live in.
Ritz Place.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right, because for a while that had a house standing, but a non-viable connection, and it would have required
You're Kubota's house.
Kubota's, that's what I'm
Yeah.
looking for. Yeah, and so that would have required all of this same components and work as if it was a brand-new connection without anything pre-existing.
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so what I'm referring to is absolutely brand new. There's a lot.
New
it's never-
construction.
It's new construction, it's whatever reason, it's never had that parcel, even if there's a structure on it, there's never been a water connection
Or
made to
sewer.
the city. We need to look at that the same way you would look at getting water rights. Because once it's in, it's perpetual, it's always there. That comes with the property. The average connecting to a city water is just the connection cost, just the privilege of using city water. This is countrywide, is anywhere between $1,000 and $6,000. Obviously, there's highs and lows. The connection to city sewer is $1,600 to $11,000.
Right, but parts and labor is going to eat up a lot of.
That's just the privilege of making that permanent connection. Then the parts and labor and everything comes after that.
Okay,
Remember,
now,
that's
parts-
a one-time charge. That gives you the right to have a connection to city water from perpetually.
Why would there be a premium on
Well, you still got to put in all the new pipe. When you're the developer, you've got to put in this pipe everywhere down the streets.
that? Right, and what I'm advocating is we're still going to charge them all the costs.
Well, okay, start from throwing, like Joe, like you were saying, that piece of property, west of Levi's place. I wanna buy that,
Yeah.
I'm gonna put a house there. I'm responsible from my property up to the city, where the properties meet. City here, city's responsible for
Getting the
utilities up
water to
that.
your lot.
I, myself, or contractor, hooks to that and goes to my house.
Yeah. Hooks up to a meter that we
Well,
put in.
yeah, hopefully, yeah. Well, actually, the meter's on the city side.
That's correct. So
Yeah.
you hook to
Yeah.
the meter.
Now, in that case, the closest water
But-
line is 100 feet away. So the city, to make that happen, the city has to bring in a new water service down that way to connect to your one house.
Within city limits and blocks.
Okay, now there's a,
You might have to upgrade a line, upgrade a main in order to add 4 more houses.
Well, I just don't want it, I don't
Yep.
feel that the owner, the property owner is responsible totally solely for repairing the city's,
okay.
our responsibilities.
So, I buy these lots right here.
Yeah.
They're out in the middle of nowhere right
And I say, give me water. I'm only gonna pay for it from the edge of my property. There isn't even water, well, the closest water is, Karen Robertson, over here through a 1-inch line.
Probably freezes. The line we just repaired.
Actually, there's a 4 or 6 inch that's at the, you're in
Yeah.
pretty good cotton there. You're
So
good.
I'm just saying, I mean, it's one thing if we're like, well, there are streets running by it, it's within the bounds of what we generally service, but there are areas of this town that are in our city limits that are theoretically laid out in a part of the town, and we have nowhere close to the infrastructure to support it.
So I'll tell you what, if you're a land developer, and you buy that lot, and you buy the one next to it, a couple around it, because you're gonna put in 2 to 4 houses, as part of your building plan, all of these costs that we're talking about is built into your community plan. It's built into the costs that you're gonna do for developing the
Per
property.
house. Per
So
lot.
you're saying that they're gonna pay for the water to get from freezes up there.
Yep,
Freezes comes off the wall.
And do they have to do it our way because we're gonna own the piping line?
it has to meet a certain specification. They can put it in themselves, but it's gonna be to our specification.
So if you look at Olaf Street there, we have a line going up, we have a line supplying
The one we
that
just
in.
repaired.
So my college roommate's a land developer, and so I've been down these exercises with him.
Everywhere there's a hydrant, and theoretically, I know there's hydrants all around town. But the hydrant is for air conditioning,
Another time and place, David.
Well, so to me, I'd say just have them bear the cost straight up with no premium. I think the city is going to be in a wonderful position anytime a person wants to add a water or sewer connection. We should not do anything to discourage it. We should just get our money back out of it in the manner in which we were charged for it. I don't see that there's any privilege, because things like paying for our water, when you think about, well, we need to set money aside for grants and matching funds and all that kind of stuff. Is that maybe what you were thinking about a little bit?
Well, how do we pay for our backhoe, to get a new backhoe, to get a backhoe? All of the things needed to put some of these in.
Well, that would say plus, right in there, it says plus the cost of opening and closing the ditch.
So you charge them $140 an hour for the man and the backhoe.
Mhm.
Okay, all right.
It's just the way, I don't know.
Well, to make an educated guess at this, I don't know what other towns. Davenport would be a good example because they've expanded. Harrington.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly. And from what I know, people that do put on a lot, there's already an existing line. What I mean by existing, a hydrant line or something around the block that they burrow into and tap into. You know, if I'm property. I really don't know, because what's the last new house on virgin ground that's went in?
Oh, I don't know if it's virgin ground, but that would be Sanchez's place, the only new house I could think of.
But it's already had water and sewer and garbage.
On virgin ground, you've got to be talking about something on the far south end by the golf course.
Close would be Threese's mobile home park.
Yeah.
Almost.
Even
And that's
that-
They
hooked
still
up,
have
that's
water,
hooked up to stuff that was already there.
Virgin ground, you're right, up at the golf course. How did they handle that?
I mean, if home prices keep rising over the years and there's the shortage of houses that they say there is, I expect to live in Harrington long enough to see new construction. Next year, no, but I think it's inevitable that eventually someone's going to look at land prices here and say, well, yeah, it's a rock pile up on that north corner, but where are you going to get what you can get for this kind of a land price and get city water and sewer? Sure, I'll do it. I think we'll get, even if it's 10, 20 years away. So it's something to think
Well, again, nice thing about this being a fee sheet is we can
We can
make
change it.
amendments
Yeah, we don't have to.
rather rapidly. So,
Okay, so can we run through what we talked about, see if we can get a no-go on all these, or the items, and if it's controversial, we'll just leave it off for a future change.
water connections, are we zeroing that?
I would, but I might be the only person who likes that idea.
Water stations.
Water and sewer.
So instead of 140, zero.
Yeah,
Entering.
the emphasis would be on everything that's a legitimate cost. The diesel, and it can be some estimates like, well, it was this many hours, so we're going to put this for the diesel. We're going to say that this was the impact on the, in Troy, or the mayor can kind of, make that as appropriate.
We
but
need to add
So water
something
connections
here.
are at cost.
at cost.
PW, PW and backhoe, PW and backtrack. Just there's on these vacant lines, so we need to establish a price for for a man and the, or two men. If it requires, I don't let them go out and do that kind of stuff with one guy, so it's two men and the piece of equipment. So if they need their backhoe, we have an hourly charge for that.
Oh, so like I say, hey, I'd like to borrow Troy to come dig a hole in my backyard.
Which we shouldn't.
We don't typically do that.
Okay, then that's not what we're talking about. Okay.
We're talking about if we're coming to put, we need a dollar value to assess on our fee structure here when we're going to go and hook up a sewer line. They've cut off all the sewer lines at the Caterpillar building, water and sewer. So we have to go put in water and sewer there again. So we need a slot for backhoe and two men.
Okay, and that's down at the bottom of this list that is currently.
Well,
Yeah,
the
I'd
two
say-
men would be, at least under my proposal, at their salary rate.
Yep.
And then the backhoe, I think you just say equipment involvement is per hour. And you just stick like,
$100 an hour at least.
80 to,
Yeah.
80 to 100 an hour, yeah.
because the equipment has an engine that pulls diesel, and it has oil to get changed and all those kind of things, so you just stick a
Same-
rate on it.
Same for the back truck? 'Cause I'm putting those two separate line items.
Yeah, that's
Maybe
fine.
that-
Back truck too.
The back truck, I would probably go, that's a high,
Yeah, it's a
high,
very
high
expensive
maintenance
one.
rate.
I'd go more on that
150?
one. 150 and 50 maybe.
At least.
And 50 an hour?
Maybe 150 for the back truck and 50 for everything else.
That's a two-man job.
Yeah, and then you'd have their salaries, the hourly rate, just like with FOIA requests for
Oh.
clerks one.
Two men and an equipment.
So 1 hour job and 5 hours down at Truck and Auto to fix it.
You're absolutely correct.
Well, that's what that's just hard.
Yeah,
It's
that back truck.
very, very
Well, it's the
hard.
same way with the back one. Because you say it needs oil change, no, it needs oil added every time we use it.
Okay, so
Yep.
At cost.
if we run down this I think what I was hearing is there's no appetite to change the print copy costs, right? Okay. Memorial Hall, yay or nay on the 15, 25, 35, and then 35 for the yearly?
I just leave it the way it is, honestly, if we were gonna amend it to write in something, or you wanted to
Well,
add a schedule for
At
Lions.
the very least, I think we should add a schedule for Lions.
This is kind of what we came up.
The bottom
Yeah.
line, I don't know what anybody thinks about that, that can change, of course, and
Which
that's
one?
0.04 cents per gallon is
Okay.
what we charge the people drilling under and it was like $3,000 worth of water they used.
Are
at that
we
rate.
charging the fire district?
No, we do not
Also-
charge the fire district for any water,
I
and that was part of something to do with the rent
I thought
situation.
that when we were
Annexed.
annexed, that the agreement was is that we would charge them they used to get water for free as a thank you to the fact that we were getting coverage for free.
Okay. Well, that was the fee that was given to me last year
Okay.
of what.
That might be something we should follow up on in the future, but I think we're supposed to be charging the fire district.
Yes.
Okay.
Um,
And they fill up their equipment fairly regular,
yeah.
and no, we don't charge them.
But where do they fill up at?
Right down here by the city shops, that
We
close.
we have a meter?
Yes.
Okay.
So for the hall rental then, Levi, do you have a thought on the hall rental?
Levi, you still there?
I'm fishing you out of my pocket.
Sounds fun.
I'm fine with the rates that you guys discussed.
Okay,
35, 15, and 25.
yeah, 15 for the kitchen only per day, 25 for the senior meal area, the tables and chairs per day, and 35 for the hall only per day.
My only
And
concern
any
with,
combination thereof.
Correct.
but I don't think they're gonna keep people separated like that.
Well, we need to put a lock on the kitchen door. And I think we should anyways, just to prevent people from going in
Okay.
there and messing it up.
Can we, like the senior meals, but can we legally for fire code?
Oh,
Senior meals probably can, because you don't.
There's only one exit out.
Yeah, out the front.
If you lock the
So-
kitchen up,
You don't, if you locked up the hall, they can't get to the bathroom either.
yeah. So I would just leave it the way it is, the heck with it, until we got enough on our plate to come up with later. And
But we should add the annual membership.
I think we
yeah,
should.
with the Lions,
All
or
right.
the. take
That's
care
what
of
we
that.
can get
That's my
consensus,
suggestion.
that's what we can get consensus on. So we'll leave the 70, 40, and 45 for now, but we're adding a $35 annual rate for 18 meetings.
Just type
In FOIA requests, I think the change there was that we are doing the first hour free. The hourly labor rate is $23.50 to $200, and that if costs are expected to go over $50, payment must be given in advance. I think those were the three changes.
Not a deposit, full payment,
Full payment, $50.
Okay,
and above.
I typed out while we were talking.
To match the
So-
language that Joe read from.
I guess you
First
could.
hour, no charge. Second hour and above, per hour labor depending on persons required to complete. If a request will likely exceed $50, a projected amount will be collected in advance as a retainer. Once the retainer is used, I didn't write that very well, so. But here's the bottom line, I can retype that, because we're gonna collect 50 if it's gonna likely to get to 50. Once the retainer is used, an updated projected amount will be calculated and collected before the research continues. The request will be paid in full before releasing the documents to the requester.
You better put something in there before you get to that, something about subject to a $50,
Yeah, I need to put, if the request is,
subject to more than
Excess of
an hour.
$50.
Yeah,
so, the
That way, it's kind of, instead of saying discretion or pick and choose who you like, and just say if it's subject,
Okay.
you're subject to a furthermore, or higher fee.
So that's FOIA. For the water, I will take the action item to discuss with the commissioners, just to see. They might see it a different way, but I'm interested to think, if they happen to say, yeah, that was a part of the agreement, well, then we've got everyone's buy-in and we should add it. If not, we might have to go back to some meeting minutes. I think we have a recording of that meeting that I put on YouTube, so I can probably listen to it, but we won't know tonight, so we can do this in the next adjustment of the schedule. Water connections and sewer connections, I know I made my proposal, but going down the line, Levi, what did you think about doing everything at cost? I'll wait while you fish me out of your pocket again.
Okay, I'm here. Repeat the question, please.
What did you think about doing water and sewer connections only at cost and all costs? Labor, machine, all that stuff.
What it costs to put it in.
Oh. Yeah. I'm not exactly sure how I feel about that, to be honest with you.
Okay, Joe, do you have an opinion?
I'm sorry, I was talking about one more time.
How do you feel about doing water and sewer at cost?
For the purposes of looking into the future, I would go with that, with no fee for hookups,
One-time fee.
no one-time fee, just cost, and I can go with that. I think we're gonna see some changes in the future, and we're not gonna stay here, just saying. And I think it's coming sooner than we think, so.
Adjust it as needed.
Yeah, which is the purpose of this fee form, is this, us and councils in the future can make adjustments on the fly as needed.
David, how do you feel about?
I'm good. Okay. I mean, it's really honest way to do it, because what they have here now, we're just arbitrarily, very subjective looking at this. You know, it could be a matter of just open the hole, turn it on and go.
And then as we get to the next page, I mean, probably the next time we'll revisit fee schedule will be in January, once we've officially stopped garbage service, because all the garbage stuff will go away, right? And then the last thing I think that we did was the voluntary and involuntary shut-off goes to $15, and weekend holiday goes to $100.
Say that again, I might have covered that.
That voluntary or involuntary shut-off goes to $15, and on a weekend or a holiday goes to $100. And I also noted an action item for the future to look into, a resolution change to put the discount for low-income seniors or disabled to be a percentage, which I would note, if that happens, is an advantage to the citizen, not the city.
Only if they, right, as long as they meet the criteria,
Yeah.
the prerequisites, which should be. You said, there's one thing I want, two things, but for an emergency,
Or
if for water, if.
turn off.
Turn off, yeah, if you're, whatever happens in your house and it bursts a pipe, we're gonna, no fault of anybody, it just happens, right? You're gonna get charged what was it, $150?
Well, no, it would be 100 if it's on a weekend or holiday.
But
But if it's on a weekday, it would just be the 15. And the reason, part of the reason for that is our handbook says that if Troy gets called out at night, and all he
2 hour
has to do is, yes, 2 hour
Yeah.
minimum, right? So this is to cover our costs as we've already approved them in the handbook 2 years ago.
Why, that's gonna be the only thing, like emergencies for emergency shut-offs.
Right.
To me, I mean, that's,
If you're lucky enough to have your pipe burst by 4:30,
right, but you know.
it'll be a lot cheaper.
But Aunt Martha, Grandma Martha was up there, and it's 10 o'clock at night, and her bed's floating away and she needs to shut off, so I mean,
We're gonna go turn the water off and we'll worry about the money later, but the plan is there's gonna be a charge. To somebody's,
That's the nature of owning a house. If you don't want the charge, you gotta rent.
that doesn't have to be paid up front to get the service to happen.
Correct. Okay, so I think I am going to make a motion.
I got one more thing.
Oh.
Did we get to code enforcement?
Not yet, but this is something that has kind of stuck with me for some time. And the city, I don't know when or how, Levi is here now, maybe he can shed some light on it, but I know in the past, the county comes in here and it's crushed the rock. And they did some stockpile for the city. I mean, there might have some trade this, that way, or whatever. I'm not sure all the intertwinings that went on. But how much longer is the city in the business of selling gravel? And my reason for that is that that's a limited supply down there. If we use it up, I don't think the county's coming in here anytime soon again, unless certain private people sell more of that chunk. We can't replace it, so how liberal do we want to be about selling gravel when we'll have to buy it ourselves from a source, and it won't be might be the they got it.
The only thing I could say about that, most of the gravel is going in the alleys, which we're not even charging people.
Well, yeah, if it's city alleys, then
Yeah,
it shouldn't be.
A whole lot of the gravel is going in the alleys and some of our used right-of-ways around here.
Do we know how much of that gravel is still alive? I haven't been by it in a while.
They're a pretty sizable pile.
I know. Couldn't answer that anymore because I think they switched. Where the city's pile was always where the sewer treatment plant shed is. They had a pile there for 50, forever. They had dwindled down, and then the county come in, crush up, and they had that whole place full of gravel, 5/8 minus, and different sizes for Orland roads, different whatever. And now, to me, just
I get your point.
how much more do we want to be in the business of selling it? Because we have a lot of alleys to gravel.
Well, I think wouldn't a start to this be maybe we should talk to Nathan and see how likely it is for the city to ever acquire more gravel in the future, and if so, what would be the expected rate of that? Because if Nathan would tell us, well, whenever we're doing construction in this section of the county, we would be happy to drop off some gravel for you at X rate, that should probably be the rate that informs what we would charge, because as long as we have a good-sized pile as a buffer, as long as the county says we are likely to be able to acquire more, I don't think we have to be stingy. But if we hear Nathan say, yeah, that was kind of a thing that used to happen, but these days we wouldn't fill you back up for probably any cost, then maybe that's not something we should do.
And that you just freshened my mind on this one. Used to be that private citizen, people, taxpayers, obviously, when the crusher was in here, you could buy out the crusher, or wherever the crusher was. From my understanding, that is no longer for some time. You have to buy it there's a number of people that went into business, sand and gravel and stuff, that, I guess it's a compete thing or whatever. So I don't know legally if we can really sell like that.
Well, it's the county's crusher, right? So they should know.
Right. I mean, it's subsidized by the taxpayers.
I did a few weeks ago.
That was for a city road.
Well, no, I got
Alleys?
free gravel for that alley, and then I bought some for myself.
You just
That's
expanded the alley.
Yeah.
No, but just something to check into. I don't know, and people listening, I mean, we used to buy everybody, a lot of farmers and people around here, businesses like Nutrien or Western Farms at the time, you would pull under, when it was a molar, you hauled it out of there, and here you just, so much a yard. I think at that time it was $4 or $5 a yard. Now, what it take,
We sold
95 is-
several $1,000s to Cannon Industries, to put on the road. That goes out to the new piece of property for their co-location facilities. So, we used it as a profit center.
If we're selling it as a profit anymore. But yeah.
I don't know what,
We loaded it up, we loaded their truck, they used their truck to haul it, we didn't haul it on our backhoe. And we gave them,
Well,
I don't know,
David,
10
would you
scoops.
agree that Nathan or someone at David Sanford would be able to give us a good picture of what our future with that is likely to be?
I would ask them, yeah, touch bases with them. I don't know if there's a kind of a handshake, or, being a municipality and get a break, we could do that, but I don't know where they would set up the crusher again, anywhere close. Yeah, outside of Harrington. 95, I think, was the last time that crusher was here in town, around that time period. So, but I know at that time we hauled some out of here from the county, but in the 2000s, unless something's changed, and you could ask the guys over at the county
I'll talk with Nathan.
about that, because I just want clarification. Maybe I'm going down a different hole, but I just don't like to see the city go, oh, geez, we're all out of gravel, we don't have enough, and now we have to go buy a bunch of dang gravel.
Right. No, I agree.
But if,
And like I said, I think we'll be revisiting this in January when we axe all the garbage stuff off of it. So we'll be seeing this again in just a couple months.
and to the point is, the gravel that is being sold, it's a bucket or two, it's not 100 yards or no big amount, correct? It's just like,
the biggest we sold.
like
was,
you.
Yeah.
Okay. So, just something I was concerned about, but might not make any difference right now, so. That was the only thing I had to see, there was that, and then, I guess we're good on that, correct? So, and the mayor brought up the nuisance, so I guess we're good, ready to discuss that with the mayor, whatever you want.
Yeah, last page of this list has code enforcement fees.
Right.
No, these were taken right out of the ordinance. right?
That's correct.
Okay.
Yep,
Which we wouldn't. be
which
able
are
to
not
change.
that old.
No.
How's this been going? Our code enforcement, most people comply? Have we
Yes.
wrote any tickets or
Yeah.
cops?
No, we don't have any, I think the
Okay.
ticket thing is, so to speak, dead.
Okay.
But so far, it's been, most people have complied.
Well, that's the goal.
Yep.
So does anyone have any other changes then? Because if not, I'm gonna make a motion.
I guess I'm good right now, and it's just a fee schedule we can change in the future, dictates such.
You good, Levi? Joe, you good?
I'm good.
You good, Mr. Mayor?
Yes, I am.
All
Please
right.
make a motion.
So, here's my motion that we adopt a new fee schedule with changes from the previous one as follows. Under Memorial Hall rental, that there would be a new rate for an annual subscription comprising of 18 uses of the hall per year at a rate of $35 per use. Under FOIA requests, that the per hour labor charge would be $23.50 to $200 an hour, with the first hour being free. And then, Joe, do you want to read the language for the pay in advance?
Yes. First hour, no charge. Second hour and above, per hour labor, depending on persons required to complete. A $50 retainer will be collected if a request is likely to cost $50 or more. Once the retainer is used, a updated projected amount will be calculated and collected before the research continues. Request will be paid in full before releasing documents to the requester.
Okay. For water connections and sewer connections, the listing will be at cost in the second column. And I would recommend that in the third column, when we say plus cost, that start with plus all costs of opening and closing ditch. That all being added there to give the mayor or the clerk or whoever room to feel like they are fully representing things like machinery and labor and everything. So plus all costs of opening and closing ditch. Moving to the next page.
You just got rid on the table, mine's on just a regular table.
That voluntary and involuntary shutoffs are $15. If on a weekend or holiday, would be $100.
Actually, it's not just a weekend, after city hours, after normal city hours.
Yes, that would be better language. After normal work hours, outside of normal work hours.
Yes.
Okay, we're raising voluntary shut off, we're going from 5 to how much?
5 to 15, and then as Jess correctly suggested, the language should say if outside of working hours, 100.
That's holiday, weekend
Yeah.
included, right?
Holiday, weekend, that would also include
Emergency.
6 p.m., 6 a.m., you know, anything
Anything
that is.
outside of normal work hours, between 8 and 5.
And again, really, it's any time for which we would be legally obligated to pay Troy for 2 hours call. So. That is the totality of my motion.
Well, that was my question, my next question. Was there a second? But we now have a motion and a second.
Okay.
Any further discussion?
Kind of hate to say this. Not that all that isn't true and what we want to go, but I think the goal here is to amend all prior ordinances that have fees scheduled within that ordinance to adopt this current fee structure.
Do we have a listing of what ordinances define the rates for all these?
Well, we can do that, or can we have a blanket statement
Resolution? Well, it has to be. an
I
ordinance.
don't
that
think,
would say that fees and fines that are because otherwise, that
In
are
other words-
previously, that are mentioned previous to this date will now refer to the fee structure.
We got a dog ordinance, and we have a nuisance ordinance, those are two that I can think of that would have numbers put into it,
Okay, and I think here
right?
in this, it mentions, it was some other code enforcement, varies per ordinance. So this fee structure does defer back to the ordinance.
Could we just
For code
say
enforcement.
this fee structure supersedes or
you can't change ordinances
With an ordinance.
without another ordinance that is specific to what's being added and struck. What I would recommend, so your point is correct. I would do it anyway, knowing that we do have ordinance cleanup to do. Most likely, if there are, like, the chances that we have had our fees already disconnect from the ordinance that has set them, I think are high. What we probably need to do is do a full text search of all of our ordinances for every dollar sign that is in there.
Okay.
And then we need to go through every ordinance that has a dollar sign and strip out the dollar and say refer to the fee schedule.
Okay, so we can adopt this fee structure tonight.
Yeah.
And then hosts,
add to it.
later on, we can come up with an ordinance
Pending.
pending, yeah, we can come up with an ordinance that specifically identifies everything that
Yep.
Stephen just mentioned and say, will furthermore refer to the city of Harrington fee structure.
Because that ordinance is gonna have to list every instance. Ordinance 1, 2, 3, subsection A, all this changes from $15 to refer to the fee schedule. And it'll have to go through and knock all those out, because like when code publishing does all of the correlation of all of our ordinances, they're gonna have to have a change list of, okay, this is what changed in every single ordinance, going back to everything that's valid. And we have to vote on that as a specific.
I'm getting a headache just thinking about it.
Well, I'm
that's-
just saying we shouldn't do that tonight. I don't think we
No.
should just set this because arguably, if it comes into conflict with an ordinance, the ordinance wins, but there are probably many of the numbers in here that were not set by ordinance. They were just set by a clerk or a mayor just said this is what it costs. And so there's probably some of this that does not conflict with a specific ordinance. So I'd just set it. If it comes to our attention that an ordinance invalidates any part of it, we will look to change the ordinance later.
Okay.
But I think your point is well taken. There is likely a conflict.
Okay. So we can, so your motion still is valid.
Yeah,
It's
it's
still-
on the table
it's
for a
on the
vote.
table.
Yeah.
So,
Well,
Further
go ahead.
further
I was just-
discussion?
I was just saying, it sounds good. I think 100's a little high on that one part of the coming back, but I do see where we get to that as far as, after hours, going from 15 to 100.
It's 2 hours.
Right,
Yeah.
right, I get that, and see, that should be addressed, so I'm good with that. I mean, I have sticker shock right off the bat on it, but.
It was set in a day that if Scotty was called out in the middle of the night to turn off someone's water, he probably wouldn't even have got paid any extra for it.
nope. Need to offer a friendly amendment to add those
I mean,
at the bottom.
Oh, yeah, okay, so this is a listing of the public.
motion.
The Public Works backhoe, and then a Public Works employee back truck, what we talked about as far as the rates. So, yes, I accept the friendly amendment.
Okay.
I'll second from you.
further discussion? So we've got a motion on, and a second on the floor to accept our new rate structure here with all its present amendments as read. All in favor of accepting
Everything that was said.
everything that was said, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same? Wow.
We say
Motion
aye.
carries.
There's gonna be a test for Chris when she gets back.
This is gonna take some rewriting, but
I mean, this honestly should have been this is something that
Yeah.
I would like to have seen at a workshop, workshop, council meeting.
it needs to be a day workshop.
It
Yeah.
gets done.
Yeah.
We have a tool we can start working.
So you
with.
now have a start in place.
Yes.
Yes. Next thing on the agenda, we are going to scrub for tonight because we got no information on linear rates for all containers from Sunshine. I did talk to Sunshine several times today. Our contract is up February 9th. It is a contract that was put in place February 9th of 2019 and has been amended several times. And they would like to make more amendments and continue on with the same contract at the end of the year with a 12-month contract. Reason being they want to go for 12 months this first time is to see if the fee structure is going to pan out. So in other words, they're using everything that we have right now and they figure a considerable number of people could want to change their can size, which would dramatically decrease the amount of money. So They said they would go for 12 months and figure it out in there. So that was only for a one-time thing. And they will get me the info on the linear rate charged for every can. That'll be coming. As soon as I get that, I will send that out to all of you, and you can work on the figures there. So we've got till after the first of the year here, till our contract is up.
We do,
Yeah,
I guess.
and we got 2 meetings next month.
We just have a 2024 budget to come up with.
And to that point, they can do, I mean, I guess the contract is, what the contract is until February, but you can say that one council member at least expects them to get us something new to vote on by the first of this year, so that we can get the garbage out of our budget. I think, I don't know how the math takes that long to come up with something. that they
Actually,
can-
today it was tried to send, and we had some technical issues getting it
Yeah.
here. I did finally get the contract this afternoon.
Okay,
So
if
we
they-
were trying to send them, and we were unable to make communication lines work.
Right, because from my perspective, two things, we've been talking about this for a number of months, they've had it for over a month since we 2 months since we last communicated to them what we intended on it, and I do not want to vote on a budget that has garbage in it for like a month.
You want to rephrase that?
Well, it's true both ways,
Yeah,
but, I mean,
Point
they
taken.
should be able to come up with something that gets this done.
Right.
Even if we can go to February, I don't want to do that.
It's cleaner if we do it at the first of the year.
Yes, and that's,
Copacetic.
I would have thought.
You know, on another note, real quick, I should have remembered this, but this summer, when I was looking at other stuff for the mobile home park and things, I did run across in the minutes, May 12th of 1999, approved by the council, residents purchased gravel, approved the city council gravel sales of less than 8 yards to residents inside the city limits for $15 a yard, delivered to a safe place on a city street or residence, or for the resident to spread and not stockpile. So there's language in there, it's a resolution, this was in the minutes of May 12th, 1999. So we're charging 20, but it does describe there, and I don't think that's changed, maximum 8 yards, 8 yards is quite a bit, I don't know how much you got, but.
Okay, so 24 years it's got nothing, huh?
5 and not to stockpile, so, I don't know.
mayor's comments. The water leak across the highway on 28th was repaired last Monday. Undone with one day. If anybody wants to see what it looks like, it required a band clamp. DW came, rented a pretty good sized excavator, which it took to sit up there and reach down into the creek bed to uncover our pipe, and one band clamp fix it. It had 2 holes. That was over and done there in one day just about, plus the prep the day before. It cost us around $4,600, which is not a lot for the manpower and the equipment that was done. And that went very smoothly. David found ordinance number 264, which tells us how tall fences can be. It also describes where some industrial, where the industrial area is between Maine and Sherlock on 3rd, which is pretty well noted up there with the blue area, if you want to look at that map. But so we now know fence heights.
What are they?
4 feet in the front, 6 feet on the side, back with a setback, 20 feet from the front of the lot, and you'd have to read all of this.
What year was that written, you know?
84 or 94? Is it 84?
1984. So, the The co-location facility is moving right along. The man door is in now. Electrical work being done. They were trenching today to get the cable from the pole to the building. That's the only trench work, and then it'll come down the pole and the cables will go in. So that's moving forward. I've got something else written here, and I cannot make it out right now because I can't see anymore because I've been here since 5 a.m. this morning, and it's 10:30. So 9:30. We're done, gentlemen, for reading here today.
Well, you did good. Thank you, Mr. Reed.
Public comments. There is none.
I have one quick, it should be quick addition to the agenda.
Okay?
So I was in here a couple weeks ago, guy came in, wanted to pay a bill with credit card. And it got me to thinking about something that we've talked about credit card for like reoccurring payments, like leaving your credit card on file and stuff, and that's a whole big thing for Springbrook and what have you. But he came back with cash. And I saw that Cynthia just had to enter into Springbrook that she was in receipt of X amount of cash. And that was her assertion to just say, yep, I got it. I realized if we had a credit card reader, we could take individual credit card payments for just one-off things. And then the person who, would run the card could say, yep, I saw that the reader said that I am in receipt of this much cash, and it'd be the same as if they received a check, or if they received cash or whatever else, they just enter into Springbrook that I received this much amount of dollars, and we could make it, I believe, so that the person would bear the credit card fee if they wanted to use it. So all I'm looking for from the council is, do we have any objections or problems with if I was to pursue getting a credit card reader? It would have no ongoing cost to us, but there would be a small hardware cost of maybe $50, $60 or something like that as a one-time thing.
Who gets the fee?
The person paying would have to pay the fee.
So I can't remember, but the first place to ask, I'm not opposed to that, but the first place to ask is Wheatland, because I believe they have that as a service with our accounts.
Mm-hmm.
And if I remember correctly, I think the hardware was covered.
Okay.
And I think as far as the fee structure being set up, they could work with us on how to do it so that the calculation is made that the bill is $100,
Okay.
the card gets charged $105 or whatever the fee
Okay.
is. But I think they can do all of that for us with no fees.
That'd be wonderful if they could.
So I'll pursue Wheatland first. If there's something about Wheatland that makes it so that doesn't work, are you guys okay with me going forward with it? Again, this is not for reoccurring. I know there's a lot of interest in, I want to put my credit card on file and pay my utility bill every month
Okay.
with this. This is
Not for
that, because that has integration problems with, that makes for a whole bunch of manual work on a regular basis for multiple people, for our clerks. It's not what we're talking about. Okay, perfect.
So you're talking about like a Square D reader?
Right,
One of those
and
little
this is
things
just for
plug
when a
into
person comes in the door and they say, I want to buy gravel, or I want to pay my bill as a one-off. Situations where if they were to receive cash, they would have to enter into Springbrook, I received $162 of cash anyways, right? It's the same entry that they have to do into Springbrook, whether they receive it as cash or whether they look at the payment app and say, yep, looks like your credit card went through. I'll enter that we are in receipt of that money. So, that,
So I can't answer that. Do you have to put in a code, a barcode as to where that money's going? When you take cash, it has to go somewhere. That,
And cash for dollar.
I can't answer.
yeah,
the
this
question.
would be just like, if the person hands you $162 of cash, you would put into Springbrook, yes, I received it, bill pay. This would be, you run the credit card, the app says accepted, charge went through, and that would dump into our accounts, and that would be the same as if you go and deposit the cash, is that yes, I am in receipt of $162 from your credit card. I'm going to enter into Springbrook that you paid the bill, and it went towards your utilities and all that kind of stuff.
So it is gonna pay utility
It
bills.
can, but it won't be reoccurring. This is not something that we
Right.
keep the credit card on file. I
Correct.
can't go here and say, every month I want you to charge my credit card for whatever my bill is. This is not online billing, this is not reoccurring. This is just for when someone walks in and does a transaction with the clerk, that station right there.
Yeah.
Which is not what happens for people's monthly bills. Well, not as a recurring aspect.
If they just want to pay, period, their bill by credit card, they should be able to.
Right. This is not like with a
Pay their water,
Vista
sewer, garbage bill.
on a singular basis. Like with a Vista.
One time.
Yes.
Okay.
Because like with a Vista, they have my credit card on file and they just bill it. Whether it's $80 or $120, they just bill my credit card. We're not talking about this. We're talking about them coming in and saying, I'm paying a specific amount. Here's my credit card.
We get people, several people want to do that regularly.
They just throw your card down, like, you go get groceries
Yeah.
each time. They don't keep it on file, they buy groceries once a week or a month, whatever. Go in there, give it to them, it's the same darn thing. But we gotta get it, I mean,
This is for a debit card too?
Yeah, it would be credit or debit, most
Okay.
likely. I have to see what if Wheatland
See
has
what it is.
stipulations on it. But as long as the person is bearing the fee of it, and it's not something where it creates a lot of additional work for the office staff. Because again, if they receive $162 in cash, they have to push the buttons in Springbrook to say, I received 162, right? So this is not, I don't think there's any net new work
So,
for them.
was it you and I that listened to the spiel from one sales person?
And then,
The thing that shot it down for me was the $480 a year, every year fee.
Right. And
So, so well, they didn't say that.
they're the process.
Let me back up on that. They said it's $12.52 a month or something. And so so you're talking $482 a year the city's gonna eat for that?
Well,
No.
Both houses,
And
$144.
what I'm talking about here is the only thing that we would potentially pay for is a hardware reader as a one-time cost to have the capability. Past that, I'm talking about the only solutions I'm looking at is the citizen bears the cost, any additional cost.
Of the transaction?
Yes.
Does that go on online or is that telephone hookup?
It would have an online connection. In fact, what we can use to run it is we have spare iPad, and actually we have the iPhones from Devin and Derek.
Yeah.
So we have 3 unused iOS devices that I can pair with the hardware to be the terminal for it. So. And again, I'm not going to look at it. It's a non-starter if the interface is bad or if it would create a lot of extra work for the clerk staff. I'm looking for something that is, give me your card, run it, hit approve, scribble your name on it, and done. Just
We
very
would
simple.
love to have that in here to collect the money.
Well, you'd probably get more compliance and not as many delinquent accounts.
That's what I'm saying. We
Yeah.
get several of those who are ready to put it on a credit card.
And they'll run it, as long as we get paid.
That's the bottom, that's what we're trying to accomplish.
That's
They
the
can deal
idea
with the
behind
credit
it.
card company.
That's the method
So I
to the
have
madness,
everyone's
isn't it?
blessing to pursue that?
Yeah, go find out what
See
it
if
is.
it lessens
Okay. All right, that was it.
on.
Second.
Motion and a second to adjourn, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So,
We need to
I
sign
would
that.
like to get as many of you guys, well, at least 4 of you, yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4. Donna and I.